Rain fell hard on the metal roofs of the slave market on planet Zarnak 5. The sky was dark. The air smelled like oil and smoke, and the crowd was loud. Aliens of many kinds shouted, laughed, and made deals. Some drank blue liquid. Some pulled. Chains that held slaves. In the center of the market was a high platform. On it stood an old alien with 4 arms. He was the auctioneer. He had a loud voice and a cruel smile. He enjoyed his job. Next. He shouted. 2 guards pulled a small, weak girl onto the stage. Her clothes were dirty. Her face was thin. One of her legs was missing, replaced by a rusty metal stump. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. The crowd laughed. "Is this a joke?" one alien asked. "She can't even stand properly." Another said. The girl looked down. Her name was Karina. She said nothing. She had stopped speaking long ago. No one listened to her, so why waste words? The auctioneer grinned. "This one is half price." One-legged but still young, strong mind, quiet mouth. A perfect helper or servant. Bidding starts now. No one raised a hand. Some walked away. A drunk alien shouted, "She's garbage. Throw her in the junkyard." Karina closed her eyes. She wished it would end. Maybe they would sell her. Maybe they wouldn't. It didn't matter. Then, silence. Everyone turned. A tall man had entered the market. He wore a long black coat. His boots were heavy, and his eyes were sharp. He was not an alien. He was human. Humans were rare on Zarnak 5. Most were soldiers, mercenaries, or criminals. But this one looked different. The auctioneer looked surprised. "Welcome, sir. Looking for a good deal today?" The man didn't answer. He looked at Rena. She looked up at him. For a moment, their eyes met. He stepped forward and raised his hand. "I'll take her," he said. Gasps came from the crowd. "You want her?" The auctioneer laughed. "She's damaged. You can buy a full worker for the same price." The man stared at him. "I said I'll take her." The auctioneer shrugged. "Your money, your choice." He tossed a key to the man. The guards unlocked Karina's chains. She tried to stand, but her leg gave out. She fell. The man walked over and helped her up. His grip was strong but gentle. She whispered, "Why?" He didn't answer. They walked together, out of the market. As the rain fell harder, on the way to the ship, Karina limped beside the man. She waited for him to yell or hit her like others did. But he didn't. He opened the ship's door. Warm light came from inside, he said. She sat on a soft chair. It felt strange. She hadn't sat on anything soft in years. He gave her food. Real food, not the cold soup or dry powder she was used to. She looked at it, then at him. "Eat," he said. She ate slowly, carefully, watching him. He knelt beside her and looked at her leg. "We'll fix this soon." Karina shook her head. "It doesn't work." "It will." She looked down. "You bought me. What do you want me to do?" He stood up. "I didn't buy you to be a slave. I need help, but not as property." Karina didn't understand. No one ever said that to her before. He walked to the cockpit and pressed some buttons. The ship rose into the sky. "What's your name?" he asked. She said nothing. He looked back at her. "You have a name." "Karina," she whispered. "I'm Captain Reese." He smiled a little. "You're safe now, Karina." But in her heart, she didn't believe it. Safety was just a word, not real, still. Something in his voice felt different. She looked out the window as the planet disappeared behind them. Stars blinked in the distance. Something inside her moved. A small, warm spark she thought was dead. Hope. But far away, deep in the black corners of space, someone else had noticed her escape. In a cold lab, a red light blinked on a monitor. A machine whispered. The ship floated through the stars like a shadow in space. Quiet, cold, alone. Inside, Karina sat near a window, watching planets drift by. Her hands were wrapped around a hot cup of something sweet she had never tasted. anything like it before. It made her chest feel strange, warm, like a forgotten dream. Captain Reese sat at the control panel, focused. His face was calm, but his eyes were always thinking. Karena had many questions, but she stayed silent. She didn't trust words anymore. Why did he save her? What did he want? Nobody helps someone like her. Unless they want something. 2 days passed. Captain Reese gave her clean clothes, a leg brace that helped her walk, and a small room of her own. Still, he said little. He watched her, but never stared. He never shouted. He never touched her unless to help. He always knocked before entering her spacesuit. He was strange. Not like the others. On the third day, he entered the small dining room where she sat alone. "You're healing fast," he said. Karena looked down. "I've been broken before," Reese nodded. He placed a small device on the table. A glowing map appeared. Above it, stars, lines, and blinking lights. "I need to go here," he said, pointing to a dead zone marked in red. "It's an old science lab, hidden, shut down years ago." Karena's face changed. She had seen that place before. In dreams, in flashes of memory, in nightmares. She stood slowly. Her voice was quiet, but clear. "That place is not empty." Reese looked at her sharply. "You know it?" Karena turned away. Her hands shook. "I was made there." Reese didn't speak for a long moment. Then he walked to a shelf and opened a locked box. He took out a small chip and plugged it into the wall. A hologram appeared, a report, written in alien language, full of redacted lines and codes. He translated it out loud. Subject 17, Hybrid. Prototype, Project, Starborn Flame. Bioweapon Series. Status, Escaped. Karena closed her eyes. "That's me." Reese leaned on the table. "I knew it. I saw your scan at the auction. The energy inside you, it's not natural." Karena stepped back. "So you bought me to use me too?" Reese raised a hand. No, she didn't believe him. Then why? She whispered. Reese looked tired now. "Older. My brother was a scientist," he said. "He helped build that lab. He thought he was saving the galaxy. Instead, he helped create monsters," he sighed. "One day he called me. He said, 'There's a girl. She's not like the others. She doesn't want to hurt. She wants to live.'" Karena stared at him. "That was me?" He nodded. "I've been looking for you ever since." Silence filled the room. Stars blinked outside the window. Finally, Karena asked, "Why do you care?" Reese looked at her, his voice quiet. "Because someone should." Later that night, Karena lay awake in her small bed. She stared at the ceiling. She remembered flashes of white walls, cold hands, sharp wires. A voice calling her a number, not a name. Screams. Fire. She remembered escaping. And losing her leg. Now, someone was saying she mattered, not as a weapon. Not as a tool. As a person. It didn't feel real. But it didn't feel like a lie either. Back in the control room, Reese opened a secret message from an old contact. "The lab's power grid just activated. Someone is inside. They know you're coming." He stared at the message for a long time. Then he locked the ship on course. In a dark corner of the galaxy, the old lab hummed with new life. Screens turned on, robotic. Arms moved. A glass chamber opened slowly. Inside, something breathed. Something not human, not anymore. The stars outside were quiet, but something inside the ship had changed. Karena stood alone in the cargo bay. Her hand rested on a metal wall, cool to the touch. She wasn't looking at anything. She was listening, not with ears, but with something deeper. She could feel it far away. Something was calling to her, a voice without sound, a memory without time, a place without mercy. Captain Reese entered behind her. "We're close," he said. "Another 3 hours." Karena didn't turn. "It's waiting," she said. Reese paused. "You mean the lab?" She nodded. I don't know how I know, but it remembers me. The ship entered orbit around the black moon. No light came from it. The scanners picked up no heat, no life signs. Just a giant, cold mountain of rock and metal. But deep below the surface, the lab still lived, and it was awake. They landed near a broken docking tunnel. The doors were half open, rusted and bent. Corinna followed Reese inside, wearing a small oxygen mask. Her brace made soft clicks with each step. The air smelled old, like burnt wires and dust. They walked through long halls filled with shadows. Broken lights flickered above them. The walls had names scratched into them. Test subjects, forgotten numbers, failed dreams. Corinna touched one wall. Her fingers stopped on a word. 17. She pulled her hand back. Reese watched her. We'll find what we need and leave, fast. But Corinna shook her head. I need to see it. They reached the heart of the lab, the main chamber. It was large, round, and silent. In the center stood a giant pot of glass, cracked but still glowing inside. Machines hummed around it. Screens turned on as they entered. A robotic voice spoke. Welcome back, Subject 17. Corinna stepped back. Vital signs detected. DNA match confirmed. Emotion response elevated. The lights turned red. Reese pulled out his blaster. We're not here to stay, just downloading data. But the lab had other plans. The doors shut behind them. A screen showed a video, Corinna years ago, inside the same chamber. Small, terrified, wires in her back, eyes wide with fear. Scientists stood around her, speaking in alien tongues. She's the most stable one. She shows empathy. She must be erased. Corinna covered her face. I don't want to see this. Reese put a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to. But she pulled away. No, I need to remember who I am. Suddenly another screen lit up. A new message. Warning. Subject 18. Active. Reese froze. What's Subject 18? Corinna's face went pale. I wasn't the only one. Alarms began to sound. Lights turned white-blue. The pod in the center hissed. A second pod, hidden in the shadows, opened slowly. Mist poured out. Inside was a figure, tall, thin, its skin silver blue. Its eyes glowing red. It looked at Corinna and smiled. Sister. Corinna stepped back. No. The figure walked toward her, graceful and deadly. I waited for you, it said. They woke me up after you ran. You left me behind. I didn't know, she whispered. You were made to feel. I was made to obey. But now I want to feel too. The figure turned to Reese. Is this your pet human? Reese aimed his blaster. Back off. The figure tilted its head. You think that will stop me? In one blink, it moved across the room. Fast as light. It kicked the blaster from Reese's hand. Corinna screamed, and something inside her snapped. A wave of energy exploded from her chest, blue and gold. The lights shattered. The walls cracked. The figure flew back, hitting the far wall. Corinna collapsed. Reese ran to her. Corinna, are you okay? She opened her eyes slowly. I remember now. I wasn't built to destroy planets. What were you built for? She looked at him. I was made to stop the ones who can. Behind them, the second pod hissed again. Subject 18 stood back up, smiling wider than before. This is going to be fun. Darkness. Not the kind that hides behind closed eyes, but the kind that reaches inside your chest and waits. Heavy and alive. Corinna floated in that darkness. Her body couldn't move. Her mind flickered like a dying star. She saw faces. Not real ones, but memories. Scientists, machines, pain. Then she heard a voice. Not loud, not soft, not human. You are not broken. You are unfinished. She gasped and opened her eyes. Reese was beside her, bruised but alive. They were still. In the lab, hiding behind a control panel. She's still out there, he whispered. Subject 18. Karina sat up slowly. Her head ached. Her leg brace sparked but worked. The air was hot, the walls pulsing like they were breathing. "I saw it," she said quietly. "All of it." Reese looked at her. Saw what? Karina stood and walked to one of the broken screens. Her reflection stared back at her, but she didn't recognize the girl in the glass. "I wasn't born," she said. "I was built part by part, piece by piece." She touched the screen, and it flickered on. A hidden file opened. Her hand had triggered it. Inside were recordings, her first days in the lab. Dozens of her, all identical, test subjects. Some crying, some silent, some destroyed. Karina's voice in the video. "I don't want to hurt anyone." Scientist. That's the problem. She cares. Reese watched quietly. He could see her shaking but didn't interrupt. "They called Emmy a failure," Karina said. "They said a weapon shouldn't have a heart." She turned to him, "But I wasn't the only one." Across the lab, Subject 18 walked through smoke and sparks. Her steps were slow, confident, no fear in her eyes. "Only hunger," she whispered as she passed shattered glass. "They made me to be perfect. No guilt, no weakness, just results." She smiled without warmth. "But you were the prototype. The one who ran, the one who felt." Her voice echoed through the walls, finding Karina. "You want to be human. That's why you'll lose." Karina gripped the edge of the panel. "She's stronger." "Maybe," Reese said, loading a small plasma grenade. "But you have something she doesn't." Karina looked at him, unsure that he gave a soft smile. "Choice." They moved deeper into the lab, searching for the core system. Reese had a plan. Shut down the power, trap Subject 18 inside, and collapse the tunnels. "Can you control your power again?" he asked. Karina shook her head. "It's like lightning. I don't aim it, it just strikes. We'll figure it out," he said. As they passed another chamber, they saw a group of broken bodies, not human, not alien. Other failed subjects. Karina paused beside one that looked like her, eyes open, lifeless. "She could have been me." Reese said nothing. His silence was respect. Then Karina looked down and saw a small badge on the body's chest. It said, "Project Code, Phoenix Variant 17, Emotion Retained. Power Unstable. Destroy if escaped." She took the badge and closed the clone's eyes. Suddenly, footsteps. Not running. Not rushing. Walking. Slow. Patient. Subject 18 entered the room. "I knew you'd come here," she said. "You were always curious." Karina stepped forward. Her hands glowed slightly, soft energy dancing under her skin. "I'm not afraid of you anymore." "You should be," 18 replied, eyes turning bright silver. The air trembled. Reese threw the plasma grenade. The room exploded in fire and smoke. Reese grabbed Karina's hand and pulled her through the side door as alarm screamed again. The explosion didn't stop 18, but it slowed her. As they ran, Karina looked back. "Why is she hunting me?" Reese said, "Because you remind her of what she never be." They reached the core. A glowing reactor. Reese started the overload process. "Once this goes critical," he said, "there's no going back." Karina looked at him. "And what if she follows us out?" He handed her a small silver chip. "She won't." But behind them, footsteps came again, closer. Space was burning behind them. The lab exploded like a dying sun, tearing through rock and dust in slow, silent fire. No sound in the vacuum. Just light, hot, red. Karina stood at the ship's window, watching it vanish. 1 second. It was her prison. The next, just smoke, but her hands still trembled. "She's not dead," she whispered. Reese walked up beside her, voice low. "No, she's not." Subject 18 had survived the blast. She walked out of the flames without fear, without pain. Her skin peeled and healed at the same time. Her eyes still glowing, still locked on one goal. You can run, she had said as they escaped. But I was built to chase. Now far from the lab, Karena and Reese flew through uncharted space. No lights, no roads. Just shadows and danger in every direction. Reese set the ship on autopilot. Then turned to her. We can't go to human systems, he said. She follow. People will die. Karena nodded. We need to disappear. Reese pulled up a star map, hand-drawn, old, cracked. There's a junk station in the black. Edge zone. Lawless space. No sensors. No questions. We go dark. We hide. The journey took days. Karena spent time alone in her small room. She stared at her hands, remembering the burst of power in the lab, how it saved them, but scared her. Lightning. Without a sky, she whispered to herself. Reese gave her space. But one night, she found him fixing the ship's damaged shield. You don't sleep, she said. He smiled, tired. I trust shields more than dreams. She sat beside him. I keep remembering the others. The ones like me in the lab, all gone, he nodded. You're not just the last. You're the first to choose your own path. Just before they reached the black edge, a warning beep lit up the console. Reese frowned. She's here. A sleek, black ship appeared behind them. No signals, no lights. It moved like a shadow, fast and deadly. Subject 18's voice echoed through the comms. You thought you could hide? You don't get to run. Not anymore. Reese pushed the thrusters. The ship jumped into a meteor field, sharp rocks spinning through space. One wrong turn equals instant death. Karena held onto the rail. We'll crash. Not if she hits first, Reese said. Behind them, Subject 18's ship fired. Blue beams lit the dark like falling stars. Karena reached out, not to control the ship, but to feel. She let her energy flow into the metal, the engines, the space around them. She didn't control the power. She listened to it. Suddenly, the ship slipped through the rocks like a ghost. Her energy created a shield, just enough to guide their path. Reese stared. You're learning. Karena didn't answer. Her eyes were glowing. They reached the junk station, a massive floating graveyard of old ships, satellites, and forgotten tech. Reese landed hard on a rusted platform. Get out, he shouted. They ran inside a broken cruiser. The doors sealed behind them, but footsteps echoed again. Subject 18 had followed. Inside the ruined ship, old lights flickered. The air was thick with oil and history. Reese whispered, we set a trap. She wants you? Give her a reason. Karena nodded. She stepped into the open hall, alone. I'm not running anymore, she shouted. Subject 18 stepped from the shadows. You sound brave. But I know your heart. Karena clenched her fists. That's what makes me stronger. Energy sparked around her. Subject 18 raised a hand. Let's find out. They clashed, not with weapons, but with force. Light met shadow. Power met power. Karena was pushed back, but didn't fall. Behind a wall, Reese activated the trap, a pulse bomb set to disable synthetic bodies. He shouted, Karena now! She jumped aside. The bomb exploded, blue light flooding the hall. Subject 18 screamed, her body twitching. But only for a moment, then silence, smoke cleared. She was gone. Vanished. Single quote. Rena fell to her knees. Reese rushed to her. Did it work? He asked. She looked up. I don't know, but she's not done. Far away, in the darkness of space, a signal blinked. Subject 18's ship flew silently into unknown space. But inside, she was smiling. Asterisk, there's a place beyond sleep, where silence is heavy and dreams are sharp. Karena drifted there. Not awake. Not gone. In this place, she stood on a glass bridge floating in space. Below her, stars. Above her, nothing. Only a voice. What are you now? The voice was her own. But colder, sharper. She looked down at her hands. They were glowing again. Energy danced through her skin. Not fire, not light, something alive, something ancient, a weapon. The voice whispered. Or something more. She didn't know the answer. Corinna woke up suddenly, heart racing. She was back on Reese's ship, in her small room. Safe, but not really. Reese was gone. A red alert flashed on the wall. Power breach detected. External lock override. She ran to the control deck. The doors were open. Someone was on board. She moved through the ship silently. Her feet made no sound. Her breath was calm. Her energy pulsed in her chest like a heartbeat. Then she saw him, Reese, kneeling, hands above his head, and across from him. Subject 18. No longer hiding, no longer smiling. Her voice was cold. No. More running. I gave you time. Now I want her. Reese turned his head slightly. She's not property. Subject 18 raised a hand. You're not in this conversation. Corinna stepped into view. I am, she said. Subject 18 turned. Good. I didn't want to break your toy before you came. Corinna stood tall. You're not here for me. You're here for what's inside me. Subject 18 nodded. You've grown, but still confused. Still soft. She stepped closer. They put two paths in you. Power and heart. You were supposed to pick one. But you can't have both. Corinna looked at Reese, who slowly reached into his coat for a hidden device. But Subject 18 saw it. She moved. Fast, lightning fast, and slammed him against the wall. His blaster fell. Corinna screamed. Her energy flared. The lights exploded. When she opened her eyes again, Reese was pinned under metal, unmoving. Subject 18 walked toward her. You can save him. Use everything inside you. Burn me to ashes. Destroy the room. Corinna's hands glowed brighter. Power surged through her veins. The ship shook, but Subject 18 whispered, if you do that, you become me. Corinna fell to her knees. She looked at Reese. His face was pale. A single breath. I'm not like you, she said softly. Subject 18 tilted her head. Then, you're weak. No, Corinna said. I'm choosing. She stood slowly and did nothing. No blast. No rage. No destruction. Just calm. She walked forward, step by step, glowing not with anger, but with peace. Subject 18 flinched. What are you doing? Corinna whispered. Something you never learned. She reached out and touched Subject 18's forehead. A wave of light spread through the room, not fire, but memory. Subject 18 saw the lab, the children, the screams. She saw herself. Lonely, created, feared, used. And then she cried. The power inside both of them shook, but didn't explode. It faded. Quiet. Still. Subject 18 fell to her knees. Not broken, but human. Why? She asked. Corinna knelt beside her. Because I know how it feels. Later, Reese woke up in the med-bay. He saw Corinna sitting beside Subject 18, now calm, sleeping. She's still alive? He asked, shocked. Corinna smiled, small and sad. So my Reese nodded slowly. You made a choice, she nodded. I'm not a weapon. He looked at her. Then what are you? Corinna stood up. I'm someone who finally got to choose. In deep space, far from stars, an old message from the lab echoed through empty frequencies. Subject 17 is active, but something's wrong. She isn't what we built. She's becoming something new. Before the stars were born, there was only silence, not empty, not dead, just waiting. Like the space inside single quotes Renadot, she had always been told what she was. A project, a weapon, a subject, a mistake. But now she was something else. Not because someone told her. Because she decided. The ship floated through a golden cloud of space dust, calm after the storm. Reese stood at the window, arms crossed, watching the stars drift like falling feathers. He had known war, fear, loss, but this peace was new. Behind him, Karina entered the room. She looked stronger now. Not just healed, grounded. Her eyes still glowed faintly but gently, like they had learned to rest. "She's stable," she said softly, nodding towards Subject 18, now sleeping in a med-bay. Reese turned. "And you?" Karina gave a small smile. "I'm not sure what I am." A long silence followed, not awkward, just full of thought. Reese walked to the ship's console. He opened a message he had ignored for days. "To all ships, Human Federation. Calls for any info on bioweapon subjects escaped from Zarnak labs." Karina saw it. She said nothing. Reese looked at her. "You want to go back?" he asked. "Face them?" She shook her head. "No, but I don't want to run anymore." Later that day, Karina sat on the ship's roof under a dome of transparent metal, watching the stars above. Subject 18, now going by the name Siren, sat beside her. "You didn't kill me," Siren said quietly. "You could have." "I almost did," Karina replied. "Why didn't you?" Karina looked up at the stars. "Because I didn't want to become another tool made for violence. I wanted to become something new." Siren tilted her head. "Something like what?" Karina smiled. "A star." The next day, Reese prepared to leave. "We'll vanish in the edge systems," he said. "No governments, no trackers, just freedom." Karina placed a hand on the wall of the ship. "I'm not going with you." Reese froze. "What?" She turned to him. "I need to do this. There are others like us. Hidden. Afraid. Broken. I want to find them." Reese stepped forward. "They'll come for you. The ones who made you. I know. You might die. I know that too." He looked into her eyes. "And you're still going?" She nodded. "Yes." He reached into his coat and gave her something small, a metal pin with a symbol of Earth. "For luck," he said. She smiled and gently hugged him. Her first real hug. "You helped me become me," she whispered. Reese whispered back. "You were always you." The ship left hours later. Karina stood alone on the old junk station, watching it disappear into starlight. She wasn't sad that she wasn't alone either. Siren stood beside her. "What now?" Siren asked. Karina took a deep breath. "Now, we become the story, not the secret." In the weeks that followed, whispers spread across the galaxy. Of a girl with glowing hands, of a weapon who saved, not destroyed. Of a slave who became a light. A name passed from rebel ship to hidden lab. Karina. The one who chose. And somewhere, on a small moon where no stars reached, a child looked up at the night sky and pointed. "Look," she said. "A new star." Her mother smiled. "No, sweet one. That's not a star." She paused. "That's someone who decided to shine."